Hello students, welcome to your science class. Today we are going to learn the continuation of chapter 14, Water, of your NCERT science textbook. Water is a simple term and one of the most used words in our daily life. Not only the most used word, but the most required and the most used substance by any creature living on earth. Some more interesting facts about water are: water regulates the earth's temperature, like we have learnt in this class. In this chapter, 75% of the human brain is water, and also 75% of a living tree is also water. Do you know, on a rough estimation, in a 100-year period, a water molecule spends 98 years in the ocean, 20 months as ice, about 2 weeks in lakes and rivers, and less than a week in the atmosphere. That means we have covered the duration of a water molecule in its entire water cycle. Getting back to our chapter, let us have a quick look of what we have learned. We have seen introduction to this chapter. We realized where we are utilizing the water the most. From which source are we getting the water on earth? And then we understood the water cycle involving the steps of evaporation, transpiration, condensation, and precipitation, and also collection. That how all the water reaches the ocean. Today we are going to learn what will be the situation if it rains heavily, or also you can say continuously. The time duration of waterfall at any place is not the same. It changes and depends upon the atmosphere and surroundings of the area. In some places, there is a situation where rainfall continuously takes place, and at some places, there is no rainfall at all.
Resuming Amazon Music.
If we understand the situation of our country, rainfall in our country is mostly recorded in monsoon season. Mostly rains are recorded soon after hot summers. That is why much crops are not grown during hot summers due to less amount of water availability during summers. Whereas sowing of the crops depends on the arrival of the monsoon season, where after sowing seeds there is a dense watering to these crops for getting the natural yield. But even in our country or any other place, limited amount of rainfall is welcomed happily. Excess of rainfall also leads to many problems. Due to heavy rains, the level of water in rivers, lakes and ponds increases, and many leads to floods. These floods overflow from the water bodies to the land areas. And due to the excess amount of water onto the land area due to floods, it submerges many crop fields, forests, cities and villages, and also leads to a lot of destruction. Even if it is the same situation, in our country also at times. Our country, India, is not an exception for extensive floods. Due to these floods, there was a huge loss due to damaged crops and for the domestic animals, for human life and also the human property. These floods disturbs the life of many living creatures. Many animals lose their shelter. They cannot survive in continuous running water and sometimes get carried away by the floods. As many domestic animals do not survive in flowing water, they die when the flood water move gradually back to its previous position. These excessive rains fill the burrows of soil and also affects the animals living in the soil. You may see during rainy season some soil living creatures like earthworms, snakes, etc. come out of their burrows due to the water completely being filled in their homes. Next, let us understand what will be the situation if there is no rain at all for a longer period. Students, imagine once what will happen if there is no rain at your place for more than an year. What will be the condition? Will you be utilizing the same amount of water as you are using it today? Imagine. We all know the process of water cycle. During this process, there is a continuous process of evaporation and transpiration which lifts the water from the land to the atmosphere. If there is no rain for a longer period, that is no precipitation, then the soil becomes dry, which will lead to decrease in the level of water in the ponds and wells and leading to dried up conditions. As we have learnt about the groundwater, which is very important, will also become unavailable and these conditions will lead to drought conditions. And you know, in drought conditions, it is very difficult to do the agriculture. There will be no proper crops growing in this condition. And due to lack of food and water, certain regions lose their life and its living creatures completely. Students, do you really understand what will be the consequences of the drought condition? What will happen to all these agricultural fields and domestic animals during the drought? What will happen if there is no water in an area for so long period? Are you really aware of it? Have you ever heard or read about it? This is a question to yourself to ask. How will be the human activity in such cases if there is no water for so long period? Take down your notebook and write all the thoughts you get if there is water scarcity in your area. If possible, to understand the consequences faced in such situations like during drought conditions, do ask your parents and your other friends or understand from newspapers and magazines about the drought conditions. We'll continue this chapter in our next class. Thank you.